Primate is not the kind of horror movie that eases you in. It throws you straight into chaos, blood, and a nightmare that just keeps escalating. What starts as a quiet night at a remote Hawaiian home quickly turns into a brutal fight for survival, as a seemingly harmless chimpanzee becomes the deadliest threat in the house. But beneath all the savage kills and shocking moments, Primate is hiding a much darker and more emotional story about family, loss, and what happens when nature turns against us. Welcome back to your nerdy show. I'm your host, Spoiler Master. Today, we're breaking down Primate's ending, why Ben goes feral, every brutal death, the final confrontation by the pool, and the deeper meaning behind this surprisingly tragic horror film. Buckle up, because this one gets dark fast. Ben wasn't the monster. Ben's descent into violence is one of the most tragic elements of Primate, because the film goes out of its way to show that he wasn't always a monster. In the opening scenes, Ben is presented as a calm, intelligent, and deeply integrated member of the family. He isn't just a pet or an experiment locked away in a lab. He's part of the household, a living reminder of Lucy and Aaron's mother, who adopted him as part of her groundbreaking linguistics research. Ben represents curiosity, empathy, and the belief that humans and animals can coexist on more equal terms. That's what makes his transformation so disturbing. The revelation that Ben was attacked by a rabies-infected mongoose reframes everything we see afterward. His rage, confusion, and eventual violence aren't born from cruelty or malice, but from a disease that destroys his mind and body from the inside. Rabies strips away restraint, amplifies aggression, and ultimately leads to death. Ben isn't choosing to kill. He's losing control over himself in the most horrifying way possible. The film adds another unsettling layer by pointing out that rabies is almost unheard of in Hawaii. The idea that an infected mongoose somehow made it onto the island raises disturbing implications. If one animal could carry the disease into this isolated environment, how many others might be infected as well? Primate never directly answers this question, but it leaves the possibility hanging in the air, suggesting that Ben's rampage might not be an isolated incident. Nature, once disrupted, doesn't always stay contained. Ben's story becomes a tragic metaphor for unintended consequences. An experiment meant to expand understanding and connection ends in total devastation, and the family never realizes what's happening until it's far too late to save him. No one is safe. Every brutal death. Primate doesn't pull its punches when it comes to violence. In fact, the film almost feels like a throwback to classic slasher movies, where the tension builds steadily as characters are picked off one by one in increasingly gruesome ways. Out of 9 major human characters, only 3 survive by the end of the film, and every death feels designed to shock, disturb, and reinforce the film's unforgiving tone. The violence begins early, with the death of the local vet, whose attempt to help Ben ends with his face being torn apart. This moment serves as a warning to both the characters and the audience that Ben is no longer the animal they once knew. From here on out, survival becomes the only goal. When Aaron is bitten by Ben, the danger escalates dramatically. Her injury isn't just physical, it introduces the terrifying possibility of infection and raises the stakes for everyone involved. Lucy, Hannah, Kate, and Nick attempt to create distance from Ben by hiding in the swimming pool area, taking advantage of the fact that Ben can't swim. For a brief moment, it seems like they might have found a clever way to survive. That hope is short-lived. Nick's death is one of the most unsettling moments in the film, not just because of its brutality, but because of how sudden it is. His attempt to push Ben off the cliff feels like a desperate act of heroism, but it backfires horribly when Ben pulls him over the edge instead. It's a brutal reminder that strength and courage don't mean much when faced with raw, animalistic power. Kate's death is equally devastating. Her attempt to reach a phone represents a last shred of hope for outside help, but Ben catches up to her and kills her with a rock in a moment that feels shockingly primal. There's no spectacle, no dramatic buildup, just sudden, merciless violence. Hannah's death may be the most tragic of all. She almost escapes. For a moment, it looks like she might make it out alive, but her decision to jump into the wrong car seals her fate. Alone, panicked, and without anyone to back her up, she's torn apart by Ben. The fact that the car belongs to Drew and Brad, who were also quickly killed, reinforces the idea that isolation is deadly in this world. By the time the carnage is over, only Lucy, Aaron, and their father Adam remain. All three are severely injured, emotionally shattered, and exhausted, but they're alive. Their survival isn't due to luck alone. It's because, unlike the others, they work together until the very end. What happened to Ben? The climax of Primate brings everything full circle in a way that's both horrifying and heartbreaking. Ben's final charge feels less like a calculated attack and more like the last gasp of a creature completely consumed by disease and pain. Lucy, Aaron, and Adam are battered and barely standing, but they refuse to abandon each other. Their teamwork is what finally brings Ben down. By steadily injuring him and forcing him into a vulnerable position, they create an opening that leads to his impalement on a broken chair by the pool. It's a brutal death, but it doesn't feel triumphant. There's no sense of victory, only grim necessity. Ben's death is tragic because it's clear he was never meant to end this way. He wasn't a villain in the traditional sense. He was family, an experiment, and a symbol of connection that became twisted by forces beyond anyone's control. More than a killer chimp, under all the blood and chaos, Primate is a film about family and unity. Lucy's relationship with Aaron and Adam starts the film strained and distant. College, new friendships, and unresolved grief over their mother's death have created emotional gaps that haven't been addressed. Lucy feels disconnected, Aaron feels vulnerable, and Adam is emotionally absent, buried in his literary work. Ben's rampage forces these fractured relationships into the open. Lucy repeatedly risks her life to protect Aaron, showing that no matter how distant she's become, that bond still matters. Aaron, despite her fear and injuries, returns that loyalty in the climax by distracting Ben and saving Lucy's life. Their relationship is reforged through shared trauma and sacrifice. Adam's late arrival is symbolic of his emotional absence throughout much of the film. He isn't there when the horror begins, and by the time he returns, most of the damage has already been done. Still, his presence in the final act is crucial. He steps up when it matters most, helping protect his daughters and standing with them against Ben. It's not redemption, but it's a step toward reconnection. The film draws a clear contrast between those who survive and those who don't. Hannah's decision to flee alone ultimately costs her life, while Lucy, Aaron, and Adam survive by staying together. Primate doesn't suggest that unity guarantees safety, but it makes a strong case that isolation makes survival nearly impossible. In the end, Primate is as much a tragedy as it is a horror film. The true loss isn't just the people who die, but the innocence, trust, and connection that are destroyed along the way. Ben's transformation represents the collapse of an idealistic dream, and the family's survival comes at an enormous emotional cost. Primate leaves us with a bleak but powerful message. Nature is unpredictable and often merciless, but human connection can still make the difference between life and death. In a world where everything can fall apart in a single night, standing together may be the only real chance anyone has. Our nerdy thoughts. Primate isn't just a brutal creature horror about a chimp gone feral. It's a grim reminder of how quickly everything can fall apart when fear, isolation, and nature collide. By the end of the night, survival doesn't come down to strength or intelligence, but to who stays together and who doesn't. Ben's story is tragic. The body count is shocking, and the emotional damage left behind feels just as heavy as the physical scars. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Primate's ending and hidden meaning, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss more horror breakdowns, endings explained, and dark movie deep dives right here on Nerdy Show. Until next time, stay curious, and maybe don't trust anything with sharp teeth after midnight.
No, what the heck, I'll laugh anyway.